Hello, lovelies. So once you've got enough trade shoots under your belt, you can hit an awkward stage where photographers start asking you what your rates are, but you don't actually have rates set yet. Today, I'm going to tell you the ways that you can deal with this as a new model. Firstly, I always highly recommend asking the photographer what their budget is. If you don't know what rates to charge yet, turn the question around and ask them to name a price. Chances are, if all your shoots so far have been trade, you're probably going to be okay with whatever they say. But I want you to be aware of what your minimum rate is. What do you want to make it worth your time if this isn't somebody who you would trade with? A few ways that you can begin to figure out what's market standard in your area are to go around and see if other models have their rates posted publicly. Not all models post their rates publicly, but some do. So go around and see if you can find that. Make sure to check models in your area. Rates vary by area until you hit the point of being a professional traveling model. And even then, sometimes certain areas will have to adjust our rates. But for the most part, a standard nationwide rate is set aside for traveling models who have all the expenses of travel included. Otherwise, most local markets have rates that are standard for their local models. So what you want to do is figure out what's standard in your market. Because a market, the photography market in a town in the middle of Nebraska is probably going to be quite different than the modeling market here in the San Francisco Bay Area in California. These markets rely on different things. How many models are there? How many photographers are there? Is the market oversaturated with models? You want to be able to stand out, and you want to be offering something that's worth charging. That's why I always recommend that if a model is still kind of getting their feet under them and figuring out the industry, that they wait to charge until they've either got enough trade work and a good enough portfolio that they really feel confident, or until photographers start offering rates. When photographers start assuming that you have rates, that's a really great boost to your confidence and a really great indicator that it is time to start charging, even if you start on a lower level than an experienced model would charge. So, some ways to set your rates. Think about what your time is worth to you. Think about what your bare minimum is for what you want to be paid hourly for a photo shoot. Good rule of thumb, don't go lower with that. Word of advice, don't set it at something ridiculous. Nobody's going to pay $300 an hour. Not for a newbie, for a photo shoot for people's portfolios. It doesn't happen. It does occasionally, but it's usually adult work. So know your minimum. And also, really think about what you'd like to get. Not just your minimum, but what you think you're worth right now. Again, a good way to base this is to go see if you can find publicly posted rates for other models in your area. It's usually considered rude to message a model that you don't know and ask her how much she charges. If you have friends who are willing to have that type of conversation with you, you can ask if they'd mind sharing. But don't just solicit models to ask for rate information. It's not taken very well. But if they have it publicly posted, that's a really good way to get an indicator of what experienced models are getting in your area. So then step it down a notch or two, and that's probably a good starting point. Again, If you're not sure what to charge, or even if you have an idea but want to test the waters and feel it out and see if it's about the right range, just turn the question back and ask the photographer what their budget is, what they had in mind. It's perfectly fine to say, you know what, I'm pretty new and haven't charged for very many shoots. I'm still kind of trying to ask photographers what they think is fair. Do you have an idea of what your budget is for this shoot? That's okay to do. So, if you don't know what to charge, don't be afraid to admit it. Don't say it in a way that's going to open you up to people trying to take advantage of you. And don't let people take advantage of you. If they offer you something like $5 an hour, that's ridiculous. That's an insult. Call them on it. At the very least, they should be paying minimum wage and more, because we aren't working 40-hour work weeks. That's part of why we get to charge so much. There are many, many, many reasons. But at least for the work we're paid for, we're not working 40-hour work weeks. Personally, I usually work a 60 to 80-hour work week. But I'm not paid for the time that I spend on my computer, marketing myself, getting that branding honed, the visibility, writing my blog, working on my portfolio, mentoring other models, making these videos. These are all ways that I market myself as a model. I'm not paid for the hours that I sink into that. I'm paid for the hours that I spend on set. So that time needs to be enough to cover the hours that I put in getting myself to that set. The many, many, many hours I spend driving, since I'm not in a central location. The time I spend doing my hair and my makeup and getting myself shoot ready. The investments I put into my website and my Model Mayhem membership and my makeup and my wardrobe. Rates, eventually, once you hit a professional level, should be comprehensive of all of that. At a beginning level, you still want to be aware of it. You still want to be aware that making less than minimum wage is not a good deal for you. So figure out what you think you're worth. Figure it out realistically. And then test the waters. See if people agree to that rate. See what's standard in your area. If you have photographers who are close friends who are willing to talk to you about it, ask them what they think of that rate. Ask them what they think you're worth. Eventually, as you go through and get more paid shoots, patterns will start to emerge. You'll realize that most people are offering a similar amount or a similar hourly rate, and you'll get more clear on what is fair for you to charge at that time. One last note, it's okay to change your rates. Don't surprise anybody with it. Don't show up at a shoot and announce that your rates have gone up. But if you start to feel like you're getting more work than you can handle, or enough work that you're having to turn some people down or push them way out, that might be an indication that it's time to consider raising your rate a little bit. So don't just think that you have to then wait until people offer you more. Because once you get past that initial start phase, you can't always say, well, I don't do much paid work, what do you think is fair? At some point they're going to know that you have rates. And so then they'll just take what you quote them. So it's up to you at that point to raise your rates and make sure that you are always charging something that is indicative of the value and skills that you bring to the photographers you work with. If you have any more questions on the topic, please leave them in the comments. I always read my comments and I'm happy to answer questions. Let me know if you have any requested topics for further videos. And as always, feel free to contact me if you need any advice or have any questions. I'm always happy to help. Please remember to subscribe if these videos are helpful to you. I have new videos coming out daily for the next few weeks. See you next time.